Mom's moving in next month, so make sure to clear out a room," Leo said, pointing at the storage room. I couldn't take it anymore. "All right, I'll call a moving company to start packing up my things." "What?" "Let's get a divorce." I could see the anxiety immediately flood Leo's face when I said that. "My name is Olivia, a 30-year-old office worker. Leo and I have been married for 2 years. We met at my workplace where I'd just been hired, and Leo was working as a director. He was 7 years older than me, and I hadn't initially seen him as a romantic partner. But when trouble arose at work, Leo was there to lend an ear and offer advice. Gradually, I found myself drawn to him, and it seemed he felt the same way about me, so we started dating. Our relationship progressed smoothly, and after about a year, we decided to tie the knot. We met each other's parents, and our wedding ceremony went off without a hitch. There were some people who were concerned about our age difference, but as it turned out, we were surprisingly compatible. We shared similar hobbies and tastes in food. Being with Leo was comforting, and since I've always been more drawn to older men, I didn't see any problems with our age difference. Our newlywed life was incredibly enjoyable. Since we worked at the same place, we could commute together, and because we understood each other's work situations, we could be mindful of each other's needs when things got busy, taking time to relax at home. We were truly enjoying our new life together, and I thought we would continue to have a happy marriage. But recently, things started to change. It all began when Leo quit his job to start his own business. "Wait, you're starting a business?" "Yeah, I've built up a decent career as a director, and I think now's the time to take the next step. I have to start my own business." "Is that so?" I felt a sense of unease. Starting a business is a big risk, and not everyone succeeds. Was it really worth giving up our stability to take on this challenge? I may be too conservative, but I had been thinking about having kids, buying a house, and other life plans. To be honest, I couldn't bring myself to support Leo's decision. But it seemed that he was determined to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. "I don't want to have any regrets. At 37 years old, this is probably my last chance to take on a new challenge. Please, will you support me?" Leo begged me with those words. If he's willing to work that hard, I couldn't say no. Well, I'm going to keep working at my current job, and I'm sure things will work out. With that thought in mind, I decided to support Leo's challenge. A month later, Leo quit his job and started his own company. "I'm going to give it my all. I'll be earning more than ever in no time." Seeing Leo so full of motivation, I decided to do my best as well. The first step was to start saving money. I hadn't been very diligent about keeping track of my expenses, but I decided to start recording them in detail. By doing this, I realized that I was wasting more money than I thought. The first thing I did was review my fixed expenses. I switched to a cheaper cell phone plan, canceled some subscriptions I wasn't using, and sold my car. In this way, I eliminated all unnecessary expenses. Next, I took a close look at my food expenses. I decided to buy groceries only once a week and stock up on meat when it was on sale. I would then divide them into small portions and freeze them. I stopped buying frozen food and snack bread. I started bringing a sandwich and a water bottle to work every day. I also switched to cheaper private label products if they tasted good. As a result of these daily savings, I was able to save about $400 a month. While saving money, I also worked hard at my job. Since I was focused on living frugally, I naturally started studying for qualifications that would help me get a raise. Eventually, I obtained the necessary qualifications and was promoted, which significantly increased my salary. Thanks to my savings and salary increase, I was able to live more comfortably. I started putting aside a decent amount of money in savings every month. On the other hand, Leo seemed to be struggling with running his business, but I knew that it usually takes 1 or 2 years to get a business on track. Since I was able to increase my income, I decided to just watch over Leo's business. After all, he had become an entrepreneur and wanted to figure things out on his own. That's the interesting part of running a business, and I was content with that. However, I had another problem. That was my mother-in-law, Emily. Emily loved to harass me, and I had been suffering from it since the beginning of my marriage. The first time she harassed me was during a New Year's gathering at the in-laws' house. I was asked to help with the party preparations and was cooking with Emily. That's when she said some really awful things to me. "Olivia, I don't accept you as my son's wife." "What?" "When I heard that someone like you, who doesn't stand out and has no notable background, was marrying my son, I was very disappointed. You don't understand your place. I'm embarrassed to introduce you to my relatives. And your cooking skills are terrible, too. You have no redeeming qualities. Can you just get a divorce already?" I had only met Emily a few times before, at family gatherings and our wedding, and we hadn't really talked much. This was the first time we had a one-on-one conversation. I couldn't believe she would say such terrible things out of the blue. What kind of person is she? At that moment, I started to dislike Emily. On the other hand, my father-in-law was very kind and had always treated me well. So when I have to go to the in-laws' house for family gatherings, I always try to stay close to my father-in-law. Emily, however, did not seem to like my behavior. Occasionally, she would call me to the kitchen and scold me. "Olivia, you're avoiding me, aren't you? It really upsets me." "No, that's not it," I replied. "So, are you flirting with my husband?" "No, I'm not." "It's suspicious. With your plain face, I can't tell what you're really thinking. Besides, the only reason you could marry Leo was because you worked together and were young. Ideally, I would have wanted a younger and cuter girl to be my son's wife. It's such a waste, especially when he's a director at the company." She insulted me. Another thing that troubled me was that Leo asked me to pretend that he was still a director at the previous company until his own company takes off. Because of this, Emily thinks that Leo is a director and my boss. So she looks down on me and treats me like a fool. In reality, Leo hardly earns any income, and I am the one who is the director at the workplace now. It's really tough to hide this fact and endure Emily's harassment. Once, I tried talking to Leo about the harassment from Emily, but he didn't listen properly. "Mom wouldn't act that way. That's a terrible lie." "I'm not lying. I'm really struggling." "I think you're overthinking it. Yes, Mom is straightforward, but it's not harassment, so please don't speak ill of her." "Then is it okay if I tell her that you've quit your previous company?" "What? Why would you do that?" "Because I'm tired of lying to Emily and the relatives every time." "No, you can't. I'm trying hard and will produce results soon. You're my wife, so please bear with me. Once my company takes off, your salary will be nothing compared to what we'll earn. Think of the benefits you'll receive then." But I couldn't ask him when that would be, because it felt like it would lead to a huge fight. However, I sensed that my patience was reaching its limit. It had been 2 years since Leo started his company, but it still hadn't taken off. Additionally, since we'd been married for 4 years, Emily had started pestering us about having children. "When are you going to have kids? You can't do your job properly, you don't stand out, and you can't even have children. Olivia, you really have no redeeming qualities, do you? And yet, Leo continues to be married to you. He's such a kind man." That's what Emily would always say to me, hurling insults my way. She has such a terrible personality. When someone is this bad, you start to not care about what they say. It's not me who's in the wrong, it's her. There's no need for me to worry about it. So I started pretending to listen to Emily no matter what she said. Emily would see my attitude and get angry, her face turning red every time, but I didn't feel anything anymore. There's no way to have a proper conversation with a monster like her. I'll just pretend to listen. Since I came to terms with the situation, my mind has been at ease. However, a sad event occurred. My father-in-law suddenly fell ill and passed away. Leo and I received a call from the hospital and rushed over. Despite receiving emergency treatment, he didn't make it. Emily broke down in tears at the sight of her husband, who had passed away in his sleep. made me feel sorry for her. Leo was an only child, so with his father gone, Emily was left all alone in the house. Leo and I took it upon ourselves to make the funeral arrangements on behalf of the grieving Emily. We made sure to give my father-in-law a proper send-off, and although the funeral went smoothly, the sadness hit me hard afterwards. Unlike Emily, my father-in-law had always been kind to me. It was heartbreaking to lose such a wonderful person from this world. Leo was also down for a while and didn't have the energy to do anything. I decided to take some paid time off to rest with Leo. At times like this, it's hard to muster the energy to work. We didn't feel like going on a vacation, so we stayed at home, ate barbecue, and allowed ourselves some luxuries to rest our minds and bodies. I gradually regained my energy and returned to work. I had a lot of catching up to do due to the time off, and although I had to work overtime, I managed to get back on track. However, little did I know something unimaginable was happening behind the scenes. One day out of the blue, when I got home from work, Leo said he needed to talk to me. "What's going on?" When I asked him, Leo dropped a bombshell. "Mom's moving in next month." "What?" "So make sure to clear out a room." Seeing that, Leo pointed to the storage room. "That room's big, and if we clean up the stuff, it'll be good enough for Mom to live in too." Leo, out of nowhere, said he's inviting Emily to live with us. Wait a minute, you can't just decide that on your own. "I've been with Mom these past few days, and we decided it together, so it's not just my decision." "What? Wait a minute. Have you not been working these past few days?" "Nah, I just haven't felt like working yet." "What the?" I thought Leo was working at his company while I was at my job. But it turns out he was spending his days at his parents' house with his mom. Leo is depending on me for everything, living expenses, apartment rent, and now he decides to have Emily move in without even asking me. I reached my limit. No matter how worried he was about Emily being alone after my father-in-law passed away, I couldn't stand Leo not considering my feelings at all. I fell out of love with him in an instant. "Fine, I'll pack my stuff, so I'll call the movers now." "What?" "Let's get a divorce." When I said that, Leo's face gradually turned anxious. Wait a minute, why are you talking about a divorce all of a sudden?" "It's not all of a sudden. I've been patient with you for too long. It's been over 2 years since you started your company. How much profit have you made, Leo?" "Well, I'm going to increase it from now on." "Then work harder. You can't succeed if you're half-hearted and without a sense of crisis. You're able to live comfortably without lowering your living standards." "But have you ever thought about why? It's because I'm working harder than you. I'm managing your household finances and doing my best to save money, so you don't have to worry about anything and can focus on your business. I know it's a tough world, and results don't always come even if you work hard. But you haven't given it your all yet, have you? And in the middle of that, you decide to live with your mom without even asking me? Do you remember that I talked to you about my troubles with her? I can't be with you if you continue to do whatever you want, Leo. Let's get a divorce right now," I said, and walked up to Leo with determination. Overwhelmed by my force, Leo fell backward. I didn't care and started packing my bags. "Hey, what are you doing?" "I told you, didn't I? I'm moving my stuff out. Then this room will be free for Emily to use." "But what's going to happen to me now, and the rent for this house?" "You can work and pay for it." "You know my company hasn't been doing well." "It's not just hasn't been doing well, it never will, so close the company, get a new job, and earn a living." "How am I supposed to explain this to my mom?" "I don't know. I'm not related to you anymore." "Wait, I don't want a divorce. I'll reflect on my actions and try harder. Please don't abandon me." "It's too late. My feelings for you are completely gone." With that, I picked up my packed bags and decided to go back to my parents' house for the time being. I'll hire movers for the rest of my stuff once I've found a new place. Leo was looking down with a very sad face. After returning to my parents' house, I immediately hired a lawyer and started preparing for the divorce. Leo called me several times during that period, but I ignored all of his calls. Once everything was ready, I went to our house along with my dad and mom. "Olivia, you came back?" "What are you talking about? I'm just here to deal with the movers." "What?" Leo said and looked even more depressed. When he noticed my dad and mom were there, he retreated to a corner and quietened down. How pathetic. In the end, Leo was better suited to work hard within an organization rather than trying to do something on his own. Well, he won't be able to find a new job if he keeps lazing around like he is now. While the movers were there, Leo didn't move and just kept getting smaller. I finished moving all the stuff, so I'll be leaving. We can discuss the divorce through our lawyers. Wait, hold on, I'm not saying that we should get divorced yet. Leo started to speak, but was silenced when my dad took a step forward. No, it's nothing. And so I left the house with my dad and mom. Later, we had our lawyer handle the divorce with Leo. During that time, Leo brought Emily with him and tried to resist. But Emily was in shock as Leo's lies were exposed one after another. Unable to participate in the discussions, she was ultimately defeated by our lawyer, and Leo ended up signing the divorce papers. Of course, I made sure that there was no division of assets. If there were going to be a division of assets, I would have claimed compensation for all the harassment I'd received from Emily when she hadn't helped me at all. Leo, fearing the compensation he would have to pay in a divorce trial, agreed to no division of assets rather than be saddled with debt. This way, I was able to complete the divorce without any loss. As for Leo and Emily after the divorce, it turns out that Emily was quite the spendthrift, having used up more than half of her husband's inheritance. Initially, she had consoled herself by buying brand-name goods and going on trips to distract from her sadness, but she couldn't stop, and her money quickly ran out. With little income to begin with, Emily became anxious and hastily asked Leo if she could live with us. Thus, Emily was in despair when she found out that Leo was unemployed. They had already sold their house by then, and the selling price was much lower than the buying price. So Emily became even more anxious, and now she and Leo live together in an apartment. As expected, Leo has been unable to find a stable job and is currently working part-time, leading a poor life with Emily. Having run a company with no achievements to its name didn't add any value to his resume, and now that he's almost 40, it will be difficult for him to find a full-time job. I keep receiving messages from Leo saying, "I can't stand this life anymore. I'm sorry, please take me back." But I ignore them all. He's now reaping what he's sown. I have no sympathy for him since he brought all this upon himself. On the other hand, since I became single, my living expenses have decreased, and I've been able to save money at an incredible rate. I'm still in my early 30s, so I plan to take my time and be cautious when it